I recently sat down and planned out pretty much my entire 2025 YouTube content plan in about an hour. With a little bit of hefty lifting from AI, I want to show you exactly how I did it. And no, I'm not using ChatGPT to rely on being a YouTube strategist. I've got a better tool to show you. Now, real quick, I want to thank the team over at Poppy for sponsoring this video and giving me a coupon code that you can use to save a few dollars on a Poppy subscription if you want to try it out for yourself. I'll put a link to that down in the description. Now, one thing about me is I'm a very visual person. I love sticky notes. I love having a whiteboard. Moving things around and seeing it visually, for me, is the best way to plan. So a few months back, I started approaching how I plan my content in a more visual way. It's kind of like a grid that makes it really easy to come up with really good topic ideas, which we'll talk about in a second. So I'm starting with a completely blank board here inside of Poppy, and I have my 4-channel topics, my categories: gear software and setup, planning, recording, and editing. And I created a text box for each of these because we're going to drop some ideas in here and build this content calendar as we go. The way that I like to think about planning out topics, whether it's for the next month or the next quarter or for an entire year, I like to think, what's going to be a win for me? Like, what do I feel like creating? What do I want to talk about? What's exciting to me right now? Like, I have to put in the time to create the content. It needs to be exciting for me. So what's going to be a win for me? What's going to be a win for you, for my audience, which could mean my YouTube viewers and my clients, customers, members inside of Video Brand Academy? What are you dying to know? What's keeping you up at night? And then, of course, if we want to be really strategic about growing our channel on YouTube, we have to figure out what's going to be a win for YouTube. What's going to work really well in the algorithm? And there's 3 specific places in my analytics that I want to pull from and then paste the screenshots in my Poppy board. I have a group on my Poppy board called Seed Topics. Seed meaning we're going to seed our ideas from the content that's already on my channel. So number 1, on the back end of my channel, I went to analytics, and then I went to the last 90 days and took a screenshot of all of these videos from the last 90 days. So these are the top 10 videos based on views. And then up here under advanced mode, I actually want to know what's going to make my audience happy. What's going to be a win for you? And one of my favorite ways to figure this out is, first of all, I'm going to sort by last 90 days over here. And down here, there's a little plus button. I'm going to add a couple of columns. I want to see subscribers gained. I want to see likes. And I want to see comments added. So this kind of gives me an idea of engagement, but I want to sort by subscribers gained. And all I'm going to do here is take a screenshot of these. And then up here at the top, I'm going to go to filter. I'm going to come down to content type. I am only planning out my regular YouTube videos, so I want to make sure that I am looking at my just YouTube videos. But I also want to come up here to publish date, and I want to put in anything that I've published for the last year. I'm going to take a screenshot of these topics as well, and we're going to import those screenshots. So some of my seed topics are going to overlap, and that's okay. I want to make sure I'm pulling the most popular topics in the last 90 days based on views, pulling the topics that were the most well received by my audience in terms of engagement. I'm also pulling topics that I actually published in the last year and that we're not just looking at brainstorming from ideas on videos that are like 2, 3, 4 years old. I don't want to just recreate all of the same videos over and over again on my channel, of course, but I know that these are the topics that are working really well for me with you, with my audience, and algorithmically with YouTube. So we're going to create a content calendar from these topics that we are seeding. Plus, if I have some other ideas of things I want to create, like I'm using Tele right now to record this screencast. I know that I want to create some more Tele videos. I know that I'm going to definitely create some more Descript videos and maybe some eCam videos. So I have some topics like eCam where I don't think I've really created a video about that. So it's not going to be in these like highly performing videos at all. But these are topics that I know I do want to create. Now here's where the magic of Poppy starts to get really magical. So I just added a chat window to my Poppy board over here. I've got Chat GPT 4.0, Claude 3.5 Sonnet, Chat GPT 4.0 Mini. I usually don't use the Mini. I just kind of toggle back and forth between these two, depending on what I'm doing. And I'll show you what I mean in just a minute. So you can see on my board, I have my empty lists over here that we're going to create our content calendar with. And I have this group of my seed topics from my channel. So I'm going to connect the seed topic group to the chat, and I'm going to ask ChatGPT 4.0 to take all of those screenshots and just make a list of all of the videos in those screenshots and in the notes. So now I have it in text form and not just in screenshots. The next thing I'm going to do is create another group, and we're going to take some inspiration from some other channels out there on YouTube that are within my niche. So I call these niche neighbors because they're, you know, I wouldn't call them competitors necessarily, but they are other channels where, you know, their audience overlaps with my audience, their topics overlap, and, you know, they're people that I like who they are and I like the content they create. So I would love to have YouTube associate me and my audience with them and their audience. So that's what I think of as my niche neighbors. So the way I would do this is go to a channel, go to their videos page, just take a link, just take their channel URL and come back over to Poppy and just paste it in to the group. Now I have these two different groups here, and I'm going to use this same chat window. I'll just make this a little bit bigger. I'm going to use the same chat window, but disconnect the first group, my seed group, and connect this niche neighbor group just like this. And I'm going to start a new chat. I'm going to put in a prompt that says, analyze each niche neighbor channel, find the 5 videos on each channel that have the most views, and then I explain how to find the views. So I'm going to hit go and we'll see what it comes up with. All right, so it's going to go through each of the videos that each of the channels that I have attached and make a list of basically the top 5 videos that it can see on the channel based on the number of views. Now I want it to categorize each of those topics into the following categories. So these are my categories for my channel. Obviously, if you're doing this, you'd want to put in your categories as well. And I also included an other category just so it has some place to put any topics that don't really fit into my exact categories. I'm going to go back to my initial chat window here where I ended up with the list of topics from my own channel, and I'm going to ask it to categorize all of these topics as well. So if you can see where I'm going with this and what we created when I first set up this board, I have my categories over here, and now I have a list of the top topics on my channel and the top topics on my niche neighbors channels, and they're all categorized into the categories that I'm planning for my channel for 2025. So I'm going to actually move this chat window over here just to make this a little bit easier on myself, and I'm just going to come in here and copy all of these directly to these text boxes here, and it's already going to be in bullet form, which is convenient. Now I want to point out something while I do this. I'm not looking to copy my niche neighbors' video content or remake their video content. I'm looking for ideas that I know my audience that overlaps with their audience really liked and really enjoyed and really got a lot of value out of. I just got rid of all of the stuff that I know for sure that I'm probably not going to make a video about. And then I'm going to do the same thing with every single category. Now, it is important to take these video topics that you have essentially whittled down, and come back over and paste these back in to your text boxes, because we need to use these text boxes with the AI. Now I'm going to move some things around here on my Poppy board. I'm going to bring this back over here, and we're only going to be looking at our lists over here. So how do we turn all these topics within these 4 categories into an entire year's worth of content without getting bored or repetitive? By giving them themes, basically. So the themes I'm using are like anything for beginners, how to do this, how to do that, you know, how to use Descript for beginners or something like that. And then topics that are more advanced for like somebody who already knows how to use Descript, for example, and maybe they want to learn a little bit more advanced features and functions, tips and tricks. And then I always want to make room for like hot topics or trending topics, or, you know, videos that aren't necessarily a teaching video. It's not necessarily a how-to tutorial kind of a thing. And then I also like to create videos that are showing my workflow or my setup, or like kind of what I'm doing right now. So that's how this turns into a grid. So I have some prompts over here on the right hand side. You can screenshot those if you want to, or just do as I do. So I'm going to create a whole new chat window, and I'm going to put it up here because I have to connect some things to it. And I am going to switch from GPT-4o to Claude for this, because if you remember over here, I used GPT-4o to make these lists and, you know, read these screenshots. It's much better at kind of like crunching data and making lists and doing boring things like that. Whereas Claude is much more creative. It can write a lot better and sound like a human instead of AI. So I've switched over to Claude right here in this chat window, and I'm going to connect this category of topics to the chat window. And then I'm going, and this is what I think is so magical about Poppy. Now I'm going to connect all of these screenshots of these seed topics to the chat window. And I'm going to ask Claude, using the style, structure, and tone from the screenshots of my seed topics on my channel, provide 10 brand new video titles from the topic list that's connected over here, from the topic list called Gear Setup Software text box, and the target audience for these topics will be complete beginners. So I want to create a long list of video topics in the gear and setup and software category that are geared for total beginners, but that are written like I would write them based on the screenshots that I already provided, right? So let's hit go. And we have some good ideas here. I'm just going to copy all of these and add them to their own text box. Okay, now do the same thing again, but this time do it for a more advanced user. Let's copy that and we will paste this down below. Now I'm going to say, now do it for topics, and this is where you would want to put in your own niche. Now do it for trending topics in the video creation and online business industry. So put your own niche in there and see what it comes up with. Now, remember, I'm not suggesting that we come up with all of these topics and then you have to stick to it and you have to do a video on every single one of these topics. We're just brainstorming here. You can delete anything you want at any time, and I strongly suggest that you do. And then the fourth category, or the fourth theme, I should say, is creating these topics around like my point of view, my workflow, my setup. We'll hit copy again and bring these down here to my text window. So I now have 40 topics that fall under my gear setup software category that I could pick and choose from. And if I pick and choose from them, I have a good variety of for beginners, for advanced, my setup and POV, and trending topics or hot topics. I have one whole prompt instead of doing each theme. And for this, we want to make sure that we are going to disconnect that initial category and connect this new category. So now we wanted to do the same thing, but now we want to say, hey, take a look at this planning text box and go to town on that. So we have this going all in one here. It's separating them by beginners, advanced, trending topics, personal workflow. Let's hit copy. We'll create a whole new text box for ourselves to put all of that information. And I'm just going to repeat this process for all of my different categories with that big prompt where it spits out like over 40 different video topic ideas at once. So I basically have 160 different topics to choose from for my channel. And if I publish one video a week for a year, that's only 52 that I have to actually decide on. Now, I could go through here and get rid of anything that I'm like, no, I'm absolutely not going to make that video, or I can just keep these as inspiration to pull from moving forward. But one thing I want to point out and keep in mind is even if there is a topic in here that, I know that I'm not going to do, like, for example, I'm really not creating iMovie content anymore. So I'm not going to do iMovie to YouTube in 5 minutes, but I might do like Descript to YouTube in 5 minutes or Tella to YouTube in 5 minutes. So I'm not going to delete that because it's still a good title. It's still a good hook. I can just adapt it to another topic. And you could copy and paste all of these into a Google Doc or something that you can come back to time and time again. You could probably even turn these into a checklist of sorts so that if you do make this particular video, you could check this off. Now, lately I have been tracking my, video creation process using monday.com, but if you are a pen and paper type of a person and you're in Video Brand Academy, you could use the YouTube planner that you can download in there, or use the fillable docs, or put these ideas wherever you normally plan out your YouTube content. But to keep going with the power of Poppy, I want to show you a couple of other things, because one of the reasons why something like Poppy is so much more powerful than, say, just going directly to ChatGPT or directly to Claude is you get to feed it who you think is an expert at whatever it is you're trying to do. So for example, here are a couple of YouTube videos. I've got TubeBuddy, I've got Think Media, I've got Nate Black teaching basically all of the insider secrets of thumbnail creation. So if I take this video, copy it, let's just pop it over here into Poppy, and we'll take this video, copy, paste, and then we'll also grab this video as well. I know for me, I like learning things. I like kind of like figuring out my own process and my own framework. Of course I do. You know me. That's the way that I am. But sometimes you just want to be told what to do. You want to be told, just go with this, this will work. And we don't always have access to all of these experts. But if I take these expert secrets and feed this content into the chat window, then I could theoretically come over to one of these topics. Let's say my complete 2024 editing setup tour. And I'm going to say, using the expert advice in the attached videos, give me 3 thumbnail ideas for this topic, and I'll paste my topic in. And no, it's not creating a thumbnail for me. That would be amazing. Poppy team, are you listening? But what it is telling me is what text to put in there, how to structure it, how the design should look. And I've got 3 different options here that I can choose from, but I don't have to figure out or guess what to put in my thumbnails. I can just do what the experts have said based on this topic that I gave it. So you could reuse this prompt again and again for all of these topics, or for every month or every quarter as you're planning your videos. Just do what the experts say. You could do the same thing with titles, with hooks. You could do it with like your script outlines. There's so much expert advice on YouTube, and you get to choose which experts to take the advice from and feed into your Poppy chat window, which is a strategy that is just absolutely light years ahead of relying on plain old Chat GPT or Claude to come up with ideas when it itself is really not a YouTube expert at all. It's just kind of guessing. There's so much more that I'm going to use Poppy for 2025 in planning my YouTube content. But if you want to see some of the other things that you can do with Poppy, I will link my Poppy review video up here. And don't forget to use the link down in the description if you want to check Poppy out for yourself. Plus there's a coupon code so you can save a few dollars in the process.